Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. And as you can see, we are talking about the ColdSteel AD10. Now, this is kind of like one of those kids games where you have to spot the differences between the various things that look to be pretty much the same. In this case, all of these are different versions of the same knife. And some of you will already, some of you will be quick and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But what I'm going to do here over the next few minutes is give you just a quick first impression on the newest variants of the ColdSteel AD10. I don't need to say this, but I will anyway. This, of course, is the standard version of the AD10. Actually, that's not quite fair to say either. This is a sort of standard version. This is from the first run that came out, and it has a hollow grind. So they switched away from the hollow grind fairly quickly, much to my dismay. I really find hollow grinds perform better than flat grinds. But apart from that, all right, this is a standard normal version of the AD10, S35VN steel, G10, aluminum liners, triad lock, all the standard stuff that you already know about. And I love this knife. It is absolutely fantastic. I have recommended it over and over and over again. It's one of my favorite knives in existence. It is exceptionally well done. The only qualification I would put on that is if you're someone who likes smaller knives, this is not for you. But if you like a full-size knife, this is fantastic in terms of performance and value. This is a great knife. There was a time, by the way, where I did complain about the value on these. That time is gone. I think most places now these are like 140, 150, and I have no issue with that. There was a time when they were like 170, even 190, and that was ridiculous. All right. So now that they've come back down to earth and are a little more affordable, I'm back to being, madly in love with this knife and highly recommending it. Now, let's move this guy out of the way and point out that ColdSteel has done with this knife what they've done with a few other knives, including the AD15. They have done a light version, and they have done a really nice job. Much like, again, when we talked about the AD15 and how good it was, these are the same. Holding this in my hand, if I close my eyes and just hold this, or even if I actuate it, close the knife. Wow, these feel so similar. They're all very well done. And so I have to say, as I look at these side by side, yeah, I'm super impressed. And that's the big thing. The two big things that stand out to me is, first of all, how close these are to the original, especially in feel. Even though this is not G10, these are the Grivery handles that ColdSteel uses on all of the Lite models, and it feels really good. Much better than some of the competitors in terms of just the heftiness of it, the confidence it inspires. Really well done. So I've got to throw that out there right away. The next thing I've got to throw out there is the Austen Steel. AUS 10 is a very good steel. It's not S35VN, okay, but it's good, and likely for most users, if a Magic Fairy switched your S35VN for AUS 10, you would not notice. All right. Yes, there are going to be some people who need every bit of extra edge retention they can get, every bit of extra corrosion resistance they can get, and they want all those features to be maxed out, and those people are probably using S90V anyway. But for the average person who uses their knife a couple times a day, AUS 10 is a great steel. So this brings up the other thing that struck me when I first opened these up, and that was, man, do I have to stop recommending the standard version and switch to the Lite? It's really hard, guys. If someone said to me right now, I want to buy a ColdSteel AD10, I would probably say buy the Lite. Unless they tell me that they really have high demand uses, that where they need every bit of extra performance they can get, I'm going to say go with the cheaper version. I think these are like $100, like $97 on White Mountain Knives. You should go over there. They did have some in stock when I checked earlier today. Um, I I always hesitate to say this because the very first comment I get is they're out of stock. Sorry about that. I apologize. But as I'm recording this, they have some. Hopefully that'll still be the case in a couple days when this finally posts. All right. So let me get this out of the way and talk about these knives in particular. First of all, we have the flat grind on Austen Steel here, Grivery aluminum triad lock, typical bent clip that we're used to seeing on the 8010 from ColdSteel. All right, aluminum backspacer here and sort of a pommel extension. Okay, feels amazing in hand. It feels very close. I can notice a little bit of extra stiffness in that lock compared to the standard version, but very close. And probably that's accounted for by the fact that I've had this for a couple of years and been opening and closing it repeatedly over that time. As we move over to the Tanto, same thing, feels amazing in hand. The action feels really nice. I can deploy it quickly. The thumb stud is comfortable. All the things I love about the standard version, these deliver, except they're like 40 or $50 less, which is nothing to sneeze at. All right. So now let me talk about the one thing, obviously, that I would say is mine with the hollow grind is really, really cool. And I prefer a hollow grind to a flat grind. So I'm going to get a little better slicing power from this compared to the flat grind. However, I think most of you will already know that if you go buy an 8010 today, unless it's really old stock, it's going to be flat grind anyway. So that's kind of a moot point. Now, on the Tanto, they did go with a hollow grind. So perhaps this is actually the perfect balance. You're going to get really nice slicing power because of that deep hollow grind. Plus, you're going to get toughness out at the tip so that you don't have to worry about breaking this very easily. Plus, the extra utility that comes from a Tanto blade in terms of scraping and even a little bit of light prying, although I'd never recommend prying with a knife. And by the way, I might add that for a light version, they've done a really nice job here. The grinds are pretty clean, pretty even. I'm quite happy with this knife overall. And, although I'm not going to jump right in and say, I recommend the Tanto over the Drop Point. Boy, that strikes a really, really compelling balance. Okay. Now, if you're going to be using this for certain jobs that require belly, especially I think of, like an obvious one is skinning an animal, a bit of belly there to work your way along if various, what would you call it, meeting points between skin and meat, or between meat and bone or organs or whatever. That belly is really, really nice for that. I don't use a folding knife for those kind of tasks anyway, because it's just a pain in the neck to clean it after. All right, so the three big things that really, really strike me here is, first of all, how close they got to the original version with these lights, how similar they feel, and how compelling they are in terms of offering essentially the same performance. Like, this is really, really cool. And I love that you can save some money and still get virtually all of what the standard 8010 is delivering. And then the next big thing that I feel like I have to say in my first impressions is that, out of all of these, in terms of really striking a great balance point between cutting performance and toughness and durability and cost and all, putting all these things in the mix and trying to come out with the very best option, guys, the Tanto might be the one. It's almost hard for me to say this because the Tanto looks to me like a bit of an adulteration. Like, this to me is an 8010, right? And I'm not aware of, at least I've never seen any Demco customs with the Tanto. I could be wrong. Maybe those are out there. But to me, this is sort of a quintessential, this is the Demco design. This is still quite faithful. The hollow grind, again, a lot of the Demco designs are going to have flat grind, but even though this is a bit of a departure from what I think of as an 80-10 when I sort of pictured it in my head, um, the Tanto blade suits this knife really, really well. And again, as I've said about 15 times now, it may represent the best sort of all around balance. Unless you are doing specific tasks that you know you need a belly for. But as I've often argued, Tanto blades are phenomenal for EDC. So those are my initial thoughts. By the way, size and weight is essentially the same. These, light versions are a little bit lighter. They come in both around 6.5 ounces, and this is about 6.8 ounces. It's really, I didn't make a big point of that in the video because it really does. It's almost a moot point. All of these, in case you're not familiar with this knife at all, 8 3/16 overall, 3 9/16 on the blade length, again, on all of these, 5 5/16 closed, 3 3/4 inches of grip area, plus this little choil. Okay, so that's a quick rundown of the specs on these. We've already covered materials. That wraps it up for me. Again, I'm going to remind you, go over to White Mountain Knives, check out what Justin's got in stock. Hopefully he still has some. Use my discount code SHARPSTUFF. That'll save you 10% off. And now you're getting even a better value on this great knife. Let me know down in the comments which one of these two you would pick and whether you think they should do a Tanto version in the higher end materials, the S35VN and stuff. All right, thanks a lot for watching. We will talk to you soon.